Hey, it's 𝙤𝙪𝙘𝙪𝙧 here, founder of the Thrive and Life Foundation, self-healing coach, and the midwife to your personal alchemy.
I am 𝘾𝙖𝙤𝙪𝙧, founder of the Heaven Within Foundation, CEO of Lifestyle Finance Australia, finance expert, life and business coach.
And you are listening to Inspired Conversations,
where we talk about the things that really matter. Yes, we go there.
We share together what's exciting us, inspiring us, and having the most profound impact on our lives and our clients' lives. And we do this to elevate and inspire you.
We cover it all from life, body, love, relationships, trauma healing, addictions, business, money, and all things woo-woo.
So sit back, relax,
and get ready to be inspired and laugh the fuck out loud.
Welcome. This is 𝙤𝙪𝙘𝙪𝙧, and you are talking to myself and the beautiful
𝘾𝙖𝙤𝙪𝙧, and you are listening to Inspired Conversation.
I fucking love this podcast, by the way.
Me too. 21 episodes in.
21 and over 1,000 listeners, and I think we're number 73 in the world or something like that. Cool.
We maybe have gone up. I need to check.
Yes.
We love your support. We wouldn't be there without you, so thank you.
Yeah, like really thank you so much for wanting to listen, and wanting to better yourself. But we've got a really big one today. And it's around, I think the energy's been pretty thick around the world right now. The Queen died, there's wars going on, and there's a collective consciousness of some pretty big grief and fear. And a lot of people are feeling it. And what Kelly and I want to talk about, I've been delving really deeply into the work of 𝘼𝙣𝙘𝙧𝙮. Now, some of you, I'm pretty sure I said on this podcast, I took myself off to Bali a couple of months ago and I did this amazing retreat. I met 𝘼𝙣𝙘𝙧𝙮 and it was called Reveal the Woman Within. And it really opened my eyes as to what programs I had been running on unconsciously that I had downloaded literally from the womb. And not just from the womb, from my mother's DNA, but my father's DNA as well. So, and what I've been learning recently, as Kelly has as well, we are already programmed. Literally 20% of us is programmed before we're even born. We're actually programmed before we even decide what sex we're going to be. So there is a process, and we'll get to this. We're going to explain to you what happens and how, but we're also going to explain to you how to change the program.
Yeah. Our little alchemy tool where we're going to take you through.
Yeah, and it's really exciting. And what I mean by the programs is this. How do we do love? How do you do work? How do you do health? And you've got to, so some people, I always ask this question, Emma, how do you feel love? And it was, I love my back being tickled. I love one-to-one time. And then it was like, no, that's how you like it, but how do you actually feel loved? What happened to you as a child where you felt the most love? Now, I had a lot of attention, a lot of love as a child. There was also a lot of turmoil in my household as a little girl. My grandmother, she was an incredible woman. I've spoken about her before. She had a lot of trauma in her life. And with us as a family, so before it was my mother, my uncle, my grandmother, my grandfather, and myself all lived in the same house. And then my uncle left, got married, had three kids when I was about 6 or 7, I think. And the household was really, really fabulous, or it was very, very violent. And the violence actually came from my grandmother. Didn't come from the men in the family. It came from my grandmother.
Interesting.
So I would feel great sense of joy and love in a really dysfunctional way. And I'll explain this. I'll explain why. My family could make a lot of money, but we were really shit at keeping it and spending it properly. So as soon as we got it, we would go out to the most fanciest restaurants and we would get dressed up and be in the fanciest outfits. We'd all go out. But as the youngest, I knew, as my grandmother, I knew it was going to be a shit night the minute she would sit there and she'd start talking to other people at other tables. And the minute that started, I knew my joyful night, my happy, happy night was about to be over.
Wow.
So there's a couple of programs that I started to dissolve and started to figure out myself that being really happy and joyful was actually going to end very badly. Because as soon as we got home, my grandmother would start throwing things, throwing punches, scratching, fighting, like kicking. It was horrible. We'd have to get the doctor around to give her a shot of something, then go to bed, and then I'd be thrown in my bedroom, and then everyone would come into my bedroom. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And this is where I felt the love. So I had 2 programs running that joy meant a fight, and love had to come from joy and a fight.
Oh, wow.
So when I got older, I was a drama queen. And when I got even older and I started drinking and going out and I would be with a partner, I would start fights. And I mean physical fights.
Just repeating the pattern.
I was repeating a pattern. And then I had to look at, so I healed all that. That all fixed up. I could heal that pattern very easily because that was my pattern that I chose, right? From experience, I chose those patterns. I created those patterns to survive an environment that I had no control over because I was so little. And then I brought that into my adulthood, like we all do, but we need to stop. And we need to stop. We need to stop fucking doing that, right?
Conscious awareness.
You're right. Be conscious of your fucked upness so you can stop it. But there were other things that I was doing that I hadn't decided on. And here's the thing. We can heal ourselves 80%. What about the last 20? The last 20 is actually DNA coding. It's programming from the father's sperm, and depending on what his life was like in that 3-month period, because sperm regenerates, eggs don't. So a woman, a little girl is born with her eggs. A man's sperm regenerates every 3 months. So whatever my father was going through in that 3 months before I was conceived, and whatever my mother was going through, plus here's the big one. The first 7% layers of the placenta is the mother's programming of how we relate to trauma.
It's in the proteins.
It's the proteins, right? So before I'm even deciding to be Emma and a girl, I've already all my downloads of, okay, by the way, Darls, you're going to organize so your father is a raging alcoholic, narcissist, liar, drama fucking queen, like all of this. You're going to have all those 4 things in there. And right, whenever you're feeling a little bit upset, you're going to drink, you're going to numb out, you're going to be argumentative, you're going to be manipulative, you're going to lie, you're going to cause drama. Oh, okay, cheers, thanks.
Yeah, you can fight it, but the susceptibility's there.
Yes.
The susceptibility is there.
So, and then on my mother's side is to work, and hide from your own pain. So it was to fawn, you just work your ass off, low self-worth, very low self-worth. So I had all these downloads. I had all these coming into my DNA, into my master cells, before I even made a decision of who I was going to be. So whatever our mothers were going through, and we all have mothers, we were all in amniotic fluid, and amniotic fluid, water is, which I'm learning all this from Yvette Rose, she's incredible, is transmitter. It's a transmitter of information. So whatever my mother went through, I'm feeling it all, and it's getting all stored, not in my memory, but in my body. It's all getting stored in my vagus nerve, which is running from my head all the way down to my
cervix.
Yeah, cervix. And so it's all getting stored there. And this is no wonder I freaking had MS, and no wonder I had 𝙤𝙤𝙪𝙧, and no wonder I had celiac, no wonder I had chronic fatigue, and no wonder I had all these things. Because when we're storing all of this pent-up emotion and negativity in our bodies, our body will give us an indicator that, cooey, woo, doll, something's wrong, but we ignore it. We go, oh, well, let's just have a tablet, let's have a pill, or, I'll fuck it, mine, I'll have a glass of wine or some cocaine. Like, it was great. It went
all about that. I had a long line of alcoholism on my dad's side of the family, and that fully got imprinted into my DNA.
Yeah, and I had it on both sides.
Yeah, we numbed out.
Yeah, mine was just a numb. Just don't feel it.
Yeah.
Don't look at it, don't feel it, and just for God's sake, be life of the party.
Yeah.
That was me. So my father was always a life of the party. He could control situations like that, and I could too, which I learned from Kelly. That's why I was always life of the party.
Protection mechanism.
Yeah, that's right. It's if I'm in control, everything's okay. I'm safe if I'm in control. So Kelly and I wanted to have a chat with you guys today, just to go, I wonder what your mum was going through when she was pregnant with you. You could possibly be acting out unconsciously these programs right now.
Yeah, it's really interesting because Em and I are both doing a 7-week inner child healing program with Yvette. This is in addition to the other stuff that Em's been doing. And it's really interesting listening to how she talks about this, because this isn't I just really want to put the asterisk in here. This isn't a blame mum and dad for all of our fucked upness and that we get to void all of our responsibility. But this is let's take a moment to actually have a look at the environment that our physical body and avatar grew in, because sometimes we may have things that are affecting us in the now moment that we're like, fuck, where is that coming from? Or where is my susceptibility to that? Why do I keep repeating that program? Or why am I so sensitive to anxiety? Or why am I and sometimes we don't know, but when we actually have a look at the environment our body was actually created in, where it grew and how it grew into a physical avatar, what was that environment? Because then it can help us understand ourselves better and what needs to be healed. And then and move forward. I'm not sure. Do you remember Yvette was actually talking about this? It's no surprise kids are coming out with autism and ADD.
ADHD, all of these things. And I want to just go back, Kel, just for 2 seconds. Sorry, babe. But this is so important. The more I delved into this, and this is so this is so opposite of blame mum and dad. In fact, this really it gave me so much compassion for my mother and my father. It's brought me so much closer to my mum, so much closer to my mother, and a huge understanding for my father, because they were also in this amniotic fluid from their mother. And fuck, what did they go through?
And it was worse than when I actually generationally trace back, it's generationally better, not worse, comparatively to, even though what I experienced wasn't great. But when I think about what I know my dad experienced and what my mum experienced, fuck me. Well done them. So it's not we're really not doing here you can go point your fingers and all your neuroses or problems you can go blame back off there. That isn't what we're talking about here.
No, we're not. I need 20%, right?
Yeah. So
And you can change that 20%
Yeah. Yeah. And it's about bringing this new level of awareness and compassion to it. And there was and because we've been, like, Em and I have both been on this really big journey of healing our nervous systems and really dismantling our coping mechanisms. And what happens every time you take a coping mechanism away, you all live with the rawness of your system. And then you've got the feelings that are underneath the system. And then some of them are just like, holy fuck, I didn't even know that I could feel grief on that level. I didn't realize that I could feel heartbreak on that level, or loss. And, here's the other side of that coin. If you can feel the intensity of that emotion on that polarity, guess what? Once you've shifted that out of your system, then you've got the love, joy, fun, play, abundance. But it's so much clearer, because if you're trying to start something new and you've still got grief in your system, or loss in your system, or heartbreak in your system, you're not starting with a clean slate. You're starting it with a lens. And this is where people struggle with opening their heart, because they're trying to build on an unsteady foundation. You've got to let the stuff out, and you've got to feel and heal the stuff to be able to open the heart fully and then create the new. Otherwise, it's a repeating of the same cycle to try and harmonize what's there. So,
and you don't create new energy. You've got to transmute the old. And the more aware we are of our patterns, and not only that, not just our patterns. I mean, it doesn't matter where it's from, because you'll make it up anyway. It's like, I can sit here now and go, I find it so hard to celebrate myself. I really actually do. I find it very difficult to celebrate myself. And I can sit there and go, it's probably because if we were celebrating, my grandmother would have an argument, blah, blah. Who the fuck knows why I can't celebrate and really go on the joy of it? But I've also got to look at what's the second gain of not celebrating myself. And this is also another pattern. This is our real pattern of our secondary gains. So a secondary gain is something that we're actually getting out of something. We're getting something out of it, out of what we're doing that's bad. So I'll give you an example for those listening. I was a raging alcoholic. What was my secondary gain of drinking so much alcohol? I didn't have to fucking feel anything. I could numb out. I didn't have to think. It was like my meditation. It was sociable to me. I love socializing on wine. I didn't have to give two shits about anything. It was like my superpower. That's why it was so freaking hard to give it up.
Yeah. Yep.
So it took years to give it up. That was my secondary gain. So where anybody's suffering, you can have a look at what's my secondary gain in it.
Yeah.
And when you can't find your secondary gain,
it's big.
And it's also probably a fucking program that's come in from the placenta.
Yeah. And we did a really awesome podcast about that. I think it was the last one. So if you're curious, like what we're talking about here, I recommend going back there. I just want to stay on, in terms of this, with what we're talking about, with this, like why we want to have a look at this and why we're sort of like exploring and like letting go of the grief and feeling the feelings and some of these things is so I've been going to yoga, and in my yoga class, they were talking about the book, The Untethered Soul. And I can't remember who wrote it, but if you just Google The Untethered Soul, it'll come up. But this is what really floored me. And I want to share it with you, because when we go through this next process and what we're about to do with you, I think you'll get the power of this. And a yoga instructor in the class was telling us about this book, and there's a little section in the book, and they're talking about the flow of energy and energy passing through us and our life force energy, and that we're in complete control all the time of how much life force energy we're experiencing flowing through us. It's just, are we available for it? And the story goes, so, when you start to fall in love with somebody, you get those like giddy feelings, you feel amazing. There's just so much energy passing through your body. And, you don't want to sleep as much. You don't want to eat as much. You're just high on life and that person, but mostly high. Like you're just high, everything's going great, right? Everything's in flow. You've been dating for a couple of months, and all of a sudden you get that dreaded text message that goes, look, I'm just not feeling it. I want to end this. I'm not feeling it. I wish you all the best. And then your energy gets completely shut off, and you're completely internal and completely withdrawn. And then you're in bed for a couple of days, I mean, not a couple of days, you're in bed for a couple of weeks and you're like, oh, fucking life sucks. And you've lost connection to that source energy. Like, but where did it go, right? Honestly, where did that energy go? You had it, you got a text message. The text message didn't turn it off. You turned it off.
Yes, exactly.
And then your friend goes, hey, you know, why don't we go out tonight? Come on, come to the bar. Let's go out. We'll have a few drinks. It'll be fun. And you meet a new person. Boom, on comes that energy again. Who turned the energy on? You did, right?
Yeah.
So it's about like how receptive are we to having this energy flowing through us. Now, with the process that we're going to take you through is really going to help clean up some of those things that's like blocking this energy flowing through your body. And the other part, like, and we're saying this secondary gain, like with some of the things that are stopping you from fully having that energy flowing through you, that unlimited amount of energy all the time. If it's not, then there might be some secondary gains under it as well. So we are in complete control. And if you think about it, if we've got like programs that we've inherited, we've got ancestral stuff that we're trying to keep at bay, we've got stuck emotions in our systems, where is our life force energy? It's going to try and keep that suppressed. That's what it's keeping at bay. Imagine if we didn't need our energetic resources doing that anymore. Imagine if we could just let it flow. Imagine what would be possible. Imagine how that would change our lives. Now, I get that sort of sounds really simple and the execution is not quite that simple.
Yeah.
We'll all be doing it. However, it's a really interesting concept to ponder on. So Em and I did this process on the weekend and kind of channeled through and was telling me about some stuff that was going on. And there was just this piece, there was something that she said that I clocked it and I was like, really feel that there's something going on here. And this process has channeled through and it's around cleaning up the like conception imprinting from what's in the embryonic fluid, so in the proteins that help form the physical avatar within the mother and within the proteins in the sperm when they connect with the egg, because this is the like the connection of the DNA. What is it, like, goes 9 generations back?
Yeah, 9 generations.
Yeah.
But that's scientifically proven.
Scientifically proven. I've heard some people say even 40 something, but there's this carryover of like lineages. And with that, like, yes, we have, like, you know, the awesome thing about our genetics is that we've adapted and we have like the best of the genetics around in terms of adaptations and surviving, and we're here. So we can celebrate that aspects of ourselves. Yet we've also got some dysfunction and trauma carryover that's also been imprinted. So the process that channeled through is that, and I really invite you to do this because it was really fun, wasn't it, Em?
It was absolutely beautiful. Kelly and I did it yesterday. It was a beautiful Sunday. Kelly channeled it and it was absolutely amazing because the difference from me of what happened with me after I finished that process is very, very different. I feel incredibly centered, present, and really back to my happy place again. And I'm feeling creative again. And I'm feeling open again. And I was exhausted. I was holding a lot of exhaustion and I was holding a lot of grief and regret. That's where I was at before this. Lots and lots of grief have been coming up with me, like very deep hidden grief, which was,
Me too.
yeah, both of us.
Past lifetime stuff of being warrior and loss and not being allowed to feel, and then feeling in this lifetime plus stuff I had experienced, like let myself feel as a kid. But
yeah,
wow, like I mean, drop you on your knees kind of grief.
yes, yeah, exactly. So Kel, do you want to explain your beautiful
Yes. So this is about recoding your avatar body, so your physical cellular structure on like a core subatomic level from like the very building blocks perspective. And we're going to take you through this process, and it's a full alchemical transformation. Like this is alchemy, like we're going to do a bit of white witchcraft really. So one of the things that I've really been getting into, and this was sort of like when I really started getting into this nervous system stuff, and I was really wanting to like pull back from the party scene and drinking and all of that. And I was like, I need some new hobbies. So one of the things I got into when COVID first happened was gardening. And I really liked it because I know that plants in nature have this really beautiful connection and response with my nervous system that just makes me feel really chill. And sometimes it's nice just to get your hands in the dirt. As much as I hate dirt under my nails, I really do, but sometimes it's just nice to have that connection. So I started growing my own food, and I was like, wow, this is such an amazing process, because you get a completely different level of awareness and connection to it when you go get the plants, you plant it, you grow it, you love it till it produces fruit, and then you eat it and it keeps producing fruit. And you have this whole relationship with the plant and your body, and it's just changes your whole experience with it. And I learned a little bit about plants and different plants and how they work. And anyway, we were talking about how our physical bodies were growing and the environments that they were growing in. And so this is the process. So the first thing that we need to do, if we're going to change how your physical avatar was created, we need to first understand the environment your physical avatar was created in. So we're going to go through a process where we sort of get an idea of what was going on for your mom, what was going on for your dad. Then we're going to have a look at how that's affecting you now and how that's showing up for you. And then we're going to call our power back, because it's all, when we call our power back, that's when we get to reclaim our sovereignty and we get to reclaim ourselves and our authenticity. And then I'm going to invite you to actually create from a feminine perspective and coding, what is the environment you would like to have been created in and grown in, like in your little incubator in the womb. And from the sperm, the masculine side of things, what are the qualities that you wish had been there or you would like there to support that? So in the union of the divine masculine and feminine, the creation of you, what was the environment that would be ideal for you to really thrive in? So instead of coming into the world of being created in potentially an environment that was very survival based, what would that be if it was thriving based? And then this is the fun part. I'm going to invite you to buy yourself a little tomato seedling and plant it and put the paper in there. And this is going to grow into a beautiful tomato plant for you. And then you're going to eat the fruit. Now, what's really cool about tomato plants is that tomato plants are kind of like hermaphrodite plants. Usually, if you want to plant a fruit, there needs to be a male one and a female one, and they need to pollinate to get the fruit. With tomatoes, they don't need that. It doesn't matter if it's a male or female plant, it'll still create fruit. So what's great about it, if we're using this to recode our physical cellular structure, it's organically got both properties with it. So as it grows with the beautiful intentions of the environment, like that's already in the soil, and grows this fruit for you, and then when you eat it, you now get to recode your whole avatar physicality with this coding of thriving. So you have this full, complete alchemical transformational process that you're going to go through over the next 12 weeks with this beautiful tomato plant. How to do it, Em? Is that clear so far? Can we jump into it? Yes.
Great. The only part that I think that I want to add in is when you're writing down the parts that you don't want, we burn those.
Yeah, we burn those. So yeah, there's the fire. So we've got wind, water, fire, and the whole thing goes through it. So we'll go through, that's the overarching process. Now we're going to go through step by step. So this is where you might want to get pen and paper and pause it a few times as we go along so that you can go through the process. So the first thing that you want to do, and maybe you could chat with your mum and dad about it, depending upon what kind of relationship you have with them, and you just want to sort of like feel into like what was going on for mum when I was conceived, or during that 9-month period. What was going on for her? What were her stress levels like? What was her, is there any history of trauma in the family? Is there any history of addictions? Is there any history of mental illness? Are there any certain hereditary conditions? Like what was present for her? How did she feel about becoming a mother? What was she stressed? Were they dealing with abundance issues? Like what was going on? So what was the environment there that you were growing in? And that, is there anything you want to add on that, Em?
Yeah, like look at, were they happy with the weight gain? What did they think of their body? You know, did they hide their body? Did they have to hide the pregnancy for a long time, or were they ashamed, or were they I mean, I don't think there's one bloody, it took me 4 years to conceive Jack. and I found out I was pregnant. I was so elated. And then 3 days in, I freaked the fuck out. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with the baby? And, you know, 4 years, like literally 4 years trying with this child. So then there's always going to be stress and some kind of fear and nervousness. That's what you write down.
Mm.
You know, some women are terrified of putting weight on.
Yeah.
Some people hate being pregnant. Some people are sick through their pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you need to write all these little things down. And if you don't know, like if you're adopted and you don't know your mother, like if you think of a woman who's got to give her baby away, there's a lot of fear, you know, stress around that. You got to look at that kind of stuff too. You can guess it. You can guess, like, what would it be like if my 16-year-old mother who had to give me away, what did she go through in her pregnancy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, keep going, Cal.
I like that. I like that around body relationship, because it is like how your mother feels about it, but also like obviously we've got the obvious once we're out of the womb, we model, but yeah, even how she feels and thinks about it during that.
Yeah.
So that's from the mother perspective, like what was going on there. And then you want to do the same for your dad perspective. And like Em said, you said it's every 3 months sperm regenerates?
Yeah, the sperm regenerates every 3 months. So even if, I don't know what kind of relationship you guys have, but I mean, I don't have a relationship with my father, but I know that my father at the time was a sailor. He was an alcoholic. He was a real lad. He was a larrikin. I'm sure there was a lot. I mean, his family were very religious and he wasn't. So I'm guessing there would have been judgment, shame,
rebellion,
lots of rebellion, you know, things like that. You can kind of guess it if you can't ask.
Yeah. And so you want to have a look at the same things for your dad, like what was going on? How did he feel about becoming a provider? Were there certain stresses? What was his home life like? Like I know for my dad, he was heavily abused as a child. Like his mum was a abusive alcoholic, and he followed on the same kind of patterns. There was rage issues. There's on his side of the family, there's mental disorders, there's alcoholism, there's all sorts of stuff on that side of the family. So in terms of like carrying that through, it was literally repeating patterns. What was present? How were things with money in the household? What was the relationship your dad had with your mother? Were there leadership issues? Or when there was conflict, like how was that resolved? Like what were some of the things that were going on there? What was their diet like? Were they eating well? And this is sort of like you get an idea of what was going on in terms of the environment, of the stuff that was carried over into creating your physical avatar. Is there anything in that one in terms that you think that they should be looking at with the father, Em?
No, I think we cleared it. I think it's good.
Yeah, it's really important that you do this with a white piece of paper and green pen.
Yeah, you just write it all down.
Yeah, write it all down.
It's really great. It's actually great to do it with somebody.
Yeah, fun.
Because Kelly and I kept sharing. I'd be like, oh, I've got this. She'd go, oh, good one. And then Kelly would say, I'm like, oh, yeah, mine too. You know, I'm like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. So, you know, it was really lovely to be able to actually, we were just on Zoom with each other, and it was really beautiful. But, you know,
and it also has you start, it makes you not wallow in it. So this isn't about wallowing in it.
It's not a pity party. Like,
it's not a pity party.
It was a very matter-of-fact thing. It's like, oh, yeah, you know, poor fuckers must have been feeling this and that.
Yeah. It was actually, there was a lot of empathy for what they were experiencing more than anything. There was no poor us about it. It was just like, fuck me, we managed to get here in spite of all the stuff that they had going on. Like,
I know, and like, well done, mum and dad, like for getting together that night.
Yeah, well done for your bodies to even be in a state to grow a child. Like,
right, yeah, like
so that's the
miracles.
Yeah, so that's the first part. Now, the second part. Now, this is also, I do recommend doing this with somebody, because then you want to look at how's it affecting you today. So, and again, you never really know, but you can kind of guess. So, for example, when I look at how certain things are affecting me today, I look at my nervous system regulation. So I know that fawning has been a really big thing for me, which was something I just carried over from my mum, and how that she would deal with conflict. It's just better to forgo my needs and make the biggest, loudest, most dominant person in the room happy, because that will protect me, or at least I won't get hurt as badly. There was also, because I'd seen anger be really dangerous, I'd suppressed that. I'd also, my nervous system is prone to anxiety, like high functioning anxiety. You wouldn't know that if I was experiencing something, because I can hide it really well, but my system is prone to high functioning anxiety. But when I look at mum and dad, what I was coded with, like, holy shit, no wonder. Also, hypervigilance has been another thing that I really have to be conscious of. Otherwise, I can see the slightest thing in the room move, and particularly if my nervous system's a little bit activated, I'll have to look at it to make sure it's okay. Also, a deep feeling of like periods of just not feeling safe to be in my body. And so you just want to kind of have a look at, like, how are these things presenting for you now? Another big one for me was I didn't feel lovable unless I was doing something to prove myself worthy of it. Like, to just be loved for the sake of being loved, that's a wild fucking concept. You mean that I don't have to be a world champion or a something or other else, or this is the where you want to have a look at how is this impacting you now as an adult? Because the thing with trauma is never about the very thing that happened to you. It's about how you've internalized it and what you made that mean, and how you processed it when there was no one there for you, when you had overwhelming feelings of powerlessness and helplessness. So, and then how that shows up now. So I also know, for me, things like I'd either go two ways with attachment. I'd either find myself, when I would feel uncertain, I'd either go into anxiousness, needing connection or reassurance, or I'd go the complete opposite way, into avoidance. Like, I'm just going to get out before I get hurt. The slightest sign of feeling a loss of love, I'm out. So just like, how is this showing up for you now? I know you had some really big insights with it too, Em, like when we looked at this.
Yeah, I had some massive insights. And one of my ones that I found was when people in their own trauma response shut down from me. And I would rather somebody scream in my face than ignore me or disconnect from me. That is huge for me. Huge. And that's all about being in utero. And, you know, what I love about this process, it's literally giving you the map of your unconscious awareness. It's just showing you, it's showing like, okay, where do I do that? How does that play out for me? Do I do that? Some of it you won't. Like, a lot of it you won't, but some of it you might. That still affects me. Or if somebody shows me that kind of behavior, yeah, I have, that affects my body. And then, but how does it affect your body? What are your actions? What do you do? Because that's the gold. Because if you go, oh yeah, I go into my shell, well, you can stop that. You know, that's where you have the control. That's where you are in control of 100% of your body.
Yeah.
Every single part of you can heal. Doesn't matter if you got stage freaking 25 of cancer, you can fucking heal it. But you have to have a look at your programming. It's gold.
Yeah, it's awesome. So once you've got all of this right, so you've got all of your little neuroses laid out, you see the environment, your physical body avatar grew in, which makes sense why certain things, how's your body feel things, where you're like, that's a really nothing thing. I don't know why I'm feeling this. So you've got all of that listed out. Now you're going to call back your power. So you'll find there's usually one parent that's your Achilles heel. Mine's always my dad. He's the one that often with women, it is our dads, and with men, it is your mums.
Yes.
Sometimes you get lucky and you get both. Anyway, so then you want to call back your power. And calling back your power is a process that goes like this. So you'll write, I call back my power from all the times, insert the problem, like the thing that hurt you, that you keep looping in. Or so for me, one of the big things for me was I call back my power from all the times that I confused control with love, where I either sought out to be controlled to feel safe and loved, or tried to control to feel safe and loved. Because that was the pattern, and that was definitely what was going on within my household environment, and that was the environment that I was conditioned to. And then you go, because the truth is, love is unconditional. Love comes from my soul, and love comes from my source, and love sets you free. And so with every one you write, with every I call back my power from insert problem, because the truth is you're always looking for the higher truth. What is the universal source truth? What is your soul truth around it?
I give you an example of one of the ones I did yesterday was, I take back my power that joy equals danger. Because the truth is, joy as it is an internal light source that's all through us. And there is no other greater, highest, higher frequency. That's the truth of it. But my truth was, if you have joy, it's going to end up in a fight. It's dangerous.
Yeah. And
So
I'm responsible for my joy.
Yeah. So I pulled my power back from that joy is dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
So this is, you want to go through and you want to just like keep writing. You'll feel it. You'll just keep writing, and then you'll feel like you're done. And then just checking, is there anything more? And there probably might be a couple more things, and then you're done. Then you want to take all the stuff that you've got listed for your mum in the womb, all the stuff you've got listed for your dad in the sperm, all the way it's affecting you in this I call back my power list. And you want to go outside and you want to roll it up and you want to burn that fucker. And you want to watch it burn. Now, don't breathe it in. The purpose is letting this go. We're taking something from matter, being on paper, burning it, which is being released. It's going through the alchemical transformation, through the fire, into the air, and into ash. It's completely transformed. Now, you want to take that pot and you want to go find a plant in your backyard, one that you love, and you want to ask its permission for it to then take this and receive it and bury it, like sprinkle it around it, and it's going to transform that into greater life within the plant. That's the first part of the process. You want to put a bit of water on there too, because now you've gone through all the elements and you've had a beautiful transformation. Now, this is where the second part gets really sexy. That's part one. Here's part two. Part two is, this is where you're going to completely recode the environment that your physical avatar was created in. And this is where you want to get a red pen and a white piece of paper. And you want to, one side is going to be for mum and the other side is going to be for dad, because you are two sides of the same coin. And on the mum side, you're going to write down the physical well-being state that she was in an ideal thriving state. What is the ideal thriving state of the feminine divine being to be in, to welcome life into her womb and to bring it through her portal into this world? And this is where you literally get to recode it to whatever you like. We had all sorts of things in there. We had like openness, receptivity, abundant, thriving, nourished. What else do we have, Em?
Oh, love, nurturing, happy, fun, joy. Oh, we had some really beautiful qualities in there.
Like strong boundaries, like authentic, truth speaking, like excitement about bringing life in, all the things. Like literally, This is your playground. This is what
body freedom, body reverence, body love, like things about. We did do quite a bit about it, but I said a lot of things about the body because I've always had such body dysmorphia. So I did a lot of, love my body, love the pregnancy. My body's blossoming. My body's this perfect vessel with this perfect
flowing.
It was really beautiful. And again, it's really cool to do it with someone because you can bounce
fun. And you just, you share ideas. It's like, oh, I'll have that one and I'll have that one.
Oh, I got that one too.
Then once you've got that, you're going to flip it over, still with the same red pen. Now you're going to write down all the divine masculine qualities and states that dad was in conception. And this is, again, magic pen. You're the script writer. Write it the way you want. So leadership, courage, divine focus, presence, supporter, protector, all the things that you wanted or that you would like to have as a thriving contribution to your physical avatar creation. You get to put it in there. Healthy being on all levels.
And don't put things in there of what you don't want. And this, I'll explain this. Don't put in non-judgmental. That word judgmental is what will amplify with the red pen.
Yeah. You want accepting.
That. So you would write totally accepting, great leader.
And the process.
I put in king warrior.
Yeah.
Like great. What else did we put in there?
Trusting in the unfolding of life.
Yeah, we put in like
self-assured.
Yeah.
There was lots of masculine.
Self-growth. We had things in about self-growth and
awareness, responsibility.
Yes.
Accountability.
Yeah, I had lots of things. I mean, I get it for you, but
it's in the dirt.
Yeah, it's under a tomato plant.
So, but you could literally Google divine feminine qualities, divine masculine qualities, and you can put it all together. Like, this is your creative space. So this is the foundation. That's why we put it on like one side of each piece of paper, because this is going to be the foundation. This is the womb. This is the creation foundation of your physical avatar. And you want to go buy yourself a tomato plant. Any tomato plant's fine. Don't grow it from a seed, because you're just better off getting it like a seedling where it's already grown a little bit. And then you're going to get a bit of dirt, potting mix, get like the vegetable potting mix, don't skimp out. Put the dirt in, fill your pot up halfway, then put in the piece of paper that you've been writing on. Now, if you want, you can put some crystals in there to supercharge it. I use a tourmaline for protection, a rose quartz for, again, psychic abilities, protection. It's also just, and not to get, so the thing with amethyst is about not getting drunk on one's ego. And then there's also rose quartz for the frequency of unconditional love. And I just find it's a beautiful divine feminine stone. And then there was also citrine, which is a beautiful divine abundance stone. So I put those in.
We did exactly the same.
Did we? Oh, that's so funny.
That's nuts. And then I had this other little green, like, chipped bracelet. And I don't know what the green is. I'm actually showing it. Here's one. But so if anyone can see this video.
Green calcite, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know what it is. But anyway, I have a heap of them. And I put one in there. I just felt called to put that in there. I put that in there as well.
Yeah.
So,
put that in there, then fill it up with the rest of dirt, put some, what's it called, like some extra fertilizer oomph in there, plant your little plant, and then you want to water it so that all the air comes out of the root system, and then it just starts to beautifully grow. And you want to talk to it and nurture it, because the plant is the representation of your physical body growing. And when it fruits and makes you beautiful tomatoes, this is where you want to eat it, because it is perfectly coded in all those beautiful frequencies that you planted it in. And as you eat the fruit, it's going to completely recalibrate and transform your physical body with this coding. So it's a complete process.
How clever is 𝘾𝙤𝙪𝙧? Like, how amazing is that? And ever since I did that yesterday, oh my goodness, I've just felt so settled and open and different. And I've got to tell you, I feel beautiful.
You look beautiful.
Thank you, my love. I love you.
I love you.
And do you know what? We really want you guys to tell us about it, please.
We want to see photos of your tomato plants. Now, if you want to go next level, like next level, you can share some of your DNA with the plant. And then the plant will actually be able to calibrate to your DNA of what you're missing and incorporate that extra into the fruit. So for women, menstrual blood is amazing for this, because the plant will be able to recalibrate itself to what you're needing and what you're missing. Or you could use a little bit of urine, either or. And then with the plant's intelligence, will know exactly what you need and incorporate it into the growth of its plant. But if you're going to use urine, I wouldn't use too much of it, because it can be quite acidic for the plant, just a little bit, like enough for it to get what you're needing.
So don't go copping a squat and letting it all out, girls.
No.
A little dribble will do it.
Pardon?
Just a little dribble. A little dribble will do it.
Just like a little syringe.
I didn't know that.
That's if you really want to go next level with it, like it is.
Spit on it? Can we put spit on it or something? That's DNA. Isn't it?
You could. I know you could give it a go. I know urine and menstrual blood definitely work with the plant. You can try spit. I guess it is your DNA. But I just know from the menstrual blood perspective, because of all of the nutrients that are in it, and then also something similar with urine. I can't remember the exact detail or where I read it. I was just like, oh, that's really interesting. I didn't even realize, like, when you really get into like biodynamic farming and that kind of stuff, like you can get quite trippy with it. But in terms of like the land, being able to care for the people that are on it. So when we were looking at buying and creating the eco retreat, this is one of the things that we were learning about, is how, like, when you share your DNA with the land, then the land can actually provide for what you're missing to really support the highest functioning of your physical avatar body.
Wow. And what do you suggest for the men?
Yeah, they can just use a bit of urine.
Urine. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Just a little bit though, because you don't want to kill
Don't kill it.
And then the other thing, now if your plant doesn't grow, because you don't know, and some of you might be new to growing things, if your plant doesn't grow, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. All it means is that there was a dud sperm or a dud egg, and you just go get yourself another plant and you plant another one in your pot and you keep going.
That's perfect. Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Guys, that is today's podcast. We hope you loved it. We
Yes.
can't wait to hear, and we want to see photos. Go on our Facebook page and send us photos of your tomato plants.
Yeah, send us
Yeah.
photos. So go into the Inspired Conversations Facebook group. I think you can just add yourself straight in there if you're not already in there. And then once you get your tomato plant planted, send us a photo. We would love to see it. Or send us a photo of you burning the I Call Back My Power and all of the yucky things and letting it go into the universe. We want to see both. We want to see photos of the burn and we want to see photos of the tomato plant.
Love it. We love you guys. Thank you so much. I love you, Cal.
I love you, Em.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.